And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that short break as we have returned with the second half of the broadcast of today's broadcast of Group A of IEM Katowice 2024, the round of 24. And up next, we have a TvP between HeRoMaRinE and Trigger. Again, these two also did face off in a Home Story Cup. They were all in the same group together then as well. And I'm excited to see how Trigger has evolved over the past couple of months, because he did struggle against HeRoMaRinE. HeRoMaRinE, he went for some cheeses, he went for some proxies, he was hyper aggressive back in December. Will that continue to be the case? Let's find out. Let us find out. So we're getting into our next game. So we're getting into Oceanborn. A map that we actually haven't seen today, I don't think, if I recall correctly. So good to be back. Good to be back. And here we go, spawning in the top left hand corner of Oceanborn. We have our Canadian Protoss, our red Protoss player representing Team Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the German Terran representing Team Mouse. It is HeRoMaRinE. Go. Again, HeRoMaRinE coming in as a favorite, as a heavy favorite. He's coming in looking to really reclaim his throne here amongst the European Terrans. I would say that throughout 2023, Spirit has overshadowed HeRoMaRinE when it comes to results. I was very impressed. I was very impressed by Spirit, and just in events like IEM Katowice, DreamHack Jönköping, in Gamers 8 as well, Spirit did actually achieve better results than HeRoMaRinE, which was a little bit surprising. I say a little bit surprising. Again, it was just really cool to see Spirit grow over the past couple of years and overcome and surpass HeRoMaRinE in many ways in 2023. But it was towards the end, towards DreamHack Atlanta, and even this event, where HeRoMaRinE, it feels like he's coming back into his own. You know, maybe he was a little bit content with his situation. Maybe he was a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, maybe he was resting on his laurels a little bit, and Spirit kind of helped light a fire under him. And it's great to see HeRoMaRinE doing well again. Doing well once again. As earlier yesterday we casted his TvTs, he took down Gumiho and Spirit. Likewise, he was able to flex his mech against Scarlet, and now he's here against Spirit, going for a double gas opener. Double gas opener into Rax, followed by that factory. To get a far more aggressive build here. Interesting opener as well to throw down the Rax at the Reaper cliff, just so the Reaper gets across the map that much faster before setting up our production. Again, very important that the Rax is thrown down a little bit further back in case it was a Blinkstalker based opener. We do want to keep the production safe and sound. And there's that CC on the high ground. Meanwhile, Reaper does get across the map. Ooh, and Trigger was baited into making that first Zella. Did believe that maybe it was a proxy, when really it wasn't. So a good start for HeRoMaRinE. He does end up faking Trigger out. Waste resources on that. Ooh, on the Zealot, but he does end up getting a kill on the Reaper. Very nicely done. Nice pick-up from Trigger. Again, he has to make this Zealot worth his while, and behind this we have our tech of choice. It's going to be a Twilight Council. Going to be a Twilight Council opener. Should be Blink. Blink into how many gateways becomes the next question here. How many gateways will we be working with? Back at home, we're going for Reactor to Marine production. Cyclones are on the way. Our production is quite spread out, so we're not really poised for an add-on swap. Okay, we're going for the singular metamac here. Going for a Marine Cyclone drop? Question mark. As we do have a tech lab on the way on that on that factory, not a reactor. With this, we can get into very fast tank production. My eyes are definitely on HeRoMaRinE right now. Meanwhile, Cyclone moves out. I'm concerned this is going to be a 2-gate opener. I am concerned. Robo on the low ground. We have a gateway as well. So far, it is 2-gate Blink. My apologies. It was 2-gate Blink, but we have a 3rd and 4th gate on the way. It's going to be 4-gate Blink Stalker, a very aggressive build here from Trigger. And how will that fare against the aggressive build of HeRoMaRinE? Again, very fast tank production here from our Terran player, and we are indeed committing to the Marine drop. Marines and Cyclone into the main. Now this can do a surprising amount of damage to the economy. Trigger, he needs to keep up. He does have a couple Stalkers in position. Cyclone does get dropped. Do get a lot of damage done on that first Stalker. Hot pick up there. Cyclone barely does survive. Trigger will hold, will not lose a single unit. Neither will Gabe, as both players do bounce off each other. Trigger going to be committing, going to be moving out. Likewise, HeRoMaRinE back at home is getting ready for the counterattack. We have a bunker on the low ground. We have a tank as well. Soon to be a second tank in the main. Again, HeRoMaRinE needs a little bit more time to prepare. Trigger tries to intercept, does get a couple of hits in. Ooh, but doesn't get the SCV, doesn't get the medevac. Does take some extra hits to the face. You can see Gabe getting in position. He does have that second tank. Good SimCity here on the low ground. Raven does spot the army, and we can blink into the main. We're going for it. We snipe the medevac. We get an SCV. Ooh, we take some big volleys to the face. Yeah, tank shots were brutal, and HeRoMaRinE can take the fight. Yeah, this army is so battered, so bruised. Good target firing on that Stalker. And this hasn't been worth it for Trigger, not yet. So he does blink back into the main base. Gets a Cyclone. Gets some value, but he hasn't really gotten any critical damage. Not yet. No, as the Prism should barely escape. Does make it out. Third base is on the way. We're transitioning into Charge, Forge, +1. We're working on that next step. Stalker's getting 3 SCVs. Good value here. This Trigger doesn't lose anything. Only a bit of hull damage. But overall, he wasn't able to kill any tanks. That's what's a little bit worrisome. None of the tanks went down. The bunker held. No damage to the production. Once again, we bait out a blink. You see HeRoMaRinE trying to bait the army to chase those Marines within tank range. Ooh. Yeah, and is this really worth it here for Trigger? Does get a tank. Was a costly trade, but does pick up a tank. Behind this, taking up towards, it looks like Colossus. We have the Bay on the way. Charge is finishing up. And HeRoMaRinE can finally break free. He can move out. And what's scary here is that when you go for this Blink Stalker heavy style, you have to build up that Stalker count, but Trigger has been losing so much. He lost 6 Stalkers already. He's got 13 left. Prism getting ready for a counterattack with those Zealots. Meanwhile, HeRoMaRinE is committing. Raven Harass will catch some of these workers. And Gabe does push up the ramp. At the same time, we do have the Zealots into the main. HeRoMaRinE, he is in position. Big volley, big mine shot goes off. Does take down the Zealots. Sure, we have some force seals if we commit anyway. We focus down the shield battery. We deny the overcharge. And these Stalkers, they're so battered and so bruised from earlier. Yeah, they're being focused down. Other boys are being pulled into the Winter Mine. Mine shot goes off only on 1 probe, but there's just too much on the ground. Cells are being warped in. Looks like Trigger should barely be able to hold on. So he does take down the tanks. Yeah, with the power of the Zealots, we do hold across the map, going for another big warp in. We do have an army. We are in position. And probes are still going down. The auto harass doesn't stop. It doesn't end. 20 dead workers. And HeRoMaRinE, he does take an economic lead. You may think the worker counts are similar, that is true, but HeRoMaRinE has mules, and his third CC is just now about to finish. So he is ahead. Likewise, the army here of Trigger is crippled. He has to rebuild his Stalker count once again. He's trying to build up his Colossus. Raven finally goes down. But Gabe is still in the driver's seat. We need something to go the way of Trigger. So basically, for the next push, for the next move out, Trigger is looking for another big warp in. Like a Zealot warp into the main base. He needs to kill a mineral line, maybe a warp in towards the third, and cripple the economy here instead. But he needs some kind of economic damage while HeRoMaRinE moves out, while he pushes. Mindrill coming in. So far, good reactions out of Trigger. One probe going down in the main. Acceptable losses so far as HeRoMaRinE does move out. As he moves out, that Prism is going to be falling back here for a warp in, I imagine. Ah, the Viking is here. Viking has arrived, zoning that Prism away. And that means HeRoMaRinE is that much more safe. Like, this warp in, it's going to take that much longer to get across the map. Zealots are coming in. Meanwhile, we're going for a Dune drop, and where are the Blink Stalkers? Again, the Blink Stalker count was reset earlier. There's no anti-air. They're forced to recall into the main base. But the Marauders, they don't care about your Colossus. Mindshot's going to be going up. SimCity making things a little bit awkward for both players. And we'll pick up, we'll go into towards the third. Blink is on cooldown, shield battery gets focused down. Meanwhile, the Zealots, they didn't do any damage. The Zealots were cleaned up, and here come the reinforcements. And again, HeRoMaRinE, he's looking for a fight. Mindshot's going to be going off, Zealots are going down. These Colossi looking so vulnerable. And they're getting focused down one after the other. There's just not enough buffer, not enough support. Whether it's Zealots, Archons, Sentries for force fields, anything else. But yeah, the soup in this case doesn't lie. As HeRoMaRinE is snowballing out of control, takes down the fort. And he can collapse on the final army. And he can push in. Just waiting for another round. Prism is still across the map, and Trigger is maybe hoping that this forces HeRoMaRinE to turn back around and race back home. But there just aren't enough Zealots here. And HeRoMaRinE shouldn't turn around. Zealots are being chased down. HeRoMaRinE, he is giving Trigger a lot of time, is what I will say. We are producing more Colossus, getting more warp-ins. HeRoMaRinE maybe waiting a little bit too long. And he cannot break this anymore. This time we do have enough army here to support the Colossus. So Trigger does force back the army. HeRoMaRinE does have a secondary force. That Prism is still alive, by the way. Still up and running. Still out there. Yeah, it looks like HeRoMaRinE, he just wants to secure his position. So he's getting up and running on 3 bases. The 4th is now being taken. We're getting into Gross, into Vikings. I don't think it was quite necessary for HeRoMaRinE to really tech up in this way, but again, he's just being secure. Like, he's just perfecting his army, ready for additional Colossus, Disruptors, a maxed out Protoss army. And as long as Trigger doesn't get his 4th base up running, HeRoMaRinE is in control. Like, he's fine. There's no rush, there's no pressure on the Terran. He's coming in with 2 armies, forcing Trigger to split up. One Colossus is dragged over, Disruptor's focused down. You can see the Trigger is being pulled apart. He's amassing more Disruptors. We're getting there. HeRoMaRinE is coming into a Doom Drop. Prism still alive, top right. And we do Carpet Bomb here in the natural base. 7 probes go down. We can focus on the Nexus. Nexus will fall. Never being sent off in an awkward direction here as the army comes in from the right hand side. GG gets called. HeRoMaRinE has too much and will take game number 1. GG. A solid game there out of HeRoMaRinE, and yeah, initially with the 4-gate Blink Stalker, unfortunately didn't get enough damage done. 4-gate Blink Stalker in general is a very aggressive opener, and it does delay your third. It delays your third, it delays the rest of your tech in favor of ideally resetting the tank counts, dealing some economic damage, crippling the production, doing something. And unfortunately, Trigger, he was able to gain some value, but it came at a cost, and he didn't gain that much. He killed 1 tank. He killed 1 tank. He killed, I want to say, like 5 SCVs, maybe 6. And he traded with the bio army, and that just didn't cut it there for the opener of Trigger. As a result, HeRoMaRinE came out ahead after the initial early game, in towards the mid game, and his eventual push did so much damage. He was able to deal with the economy, break through the army as well. It was insane what his first push was able to accomplish, and from that moment, HeRoMaRinE was in the driver's seat, and the pressure was on Trigger to come back in some way. Wasn't quite able to. Again, we have seen Zealot drops and Zealot harass achieve quite a lot in this matchup, but here for Trigger, HeRoMaRinE, he was always in position with a handful of Marines, a handful of Marauders, even the Viking as well, zoning back the Prism. There was just always something to deal with it, and with that, we're now getting into game number 2. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Hecate, we have our blue Terran player from the land of Germany, representing Team Mouse. It is HeRoMaRinE. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Protoss player, the red Protoss, representing Team Basilisk. It is Trigger. Go. Again, Trigger just not really achieving that much success, not really achieving what he was looking for with that 4-gate Blink opener. I imagine we're going to be seeing something different out of Trigger here in game 2. Trigger isn't really fond of Stargate openers, I will say that, so I don't expect a Stargate opener. I expect on Hecate like 2-gate Blink into a third. I expect something more economic, but still Blink based. We'll see. We shall see. We could opt for a safer opener, which would be 3-gate Blink, which would be a far safer way to approach this. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on Trigger. Now we are settling on in. This time we don't have a fake out. This time the Probe Scout does confirm the racks here for HeRoMaRinE, which means we shouldn't be making any kind of Zealot early on. If you remember, winding it back to game 1, HeRoMaRinE did fake out a proxy, and Trigger did kind of fall for it. That did force him to spend resources on a Zealot. But here, once again, double gas. Double gas open out of HeRoMaRinE. Faster factory. Delayed expansion. HeRoMaRinE wants to be the aggressor once again. Here we go. And again, this is interesting just because the meta has shifted in a way where Rax expands are very commonplace in this matchup. I mean, I guess in the new patch, factory-based openers were popular because of the Cyclone, but that was like really only lasting the month of December. Since then, that has fallen by the wayside, as Protoss players have gotten used to those eBay bluffs. As Reaper does dip, and we do get a probe. One probe does go down. Ooh, but we shut down the Reaper. Not completely worth it, especially considering that HeRoMaRinE loses the Reaper before he scouts the tech. He hasn't seen the Twilight Council. To be fair, if he has studied Trigger, if he's familiar with Trigger, he would know that Stargate openers are not common, and he's not really fond of them. So he can assume it's the Twilight Council regardless. As we have the mine being chased down. Can we waddle away? It does take an extra hit. Is waddling back towards the main base, so we do have a Cyclone. And the Widowmine will survive. Will make it out. Ooh, we don't commit to the shade, but the Adept is going to be caught out instead. And the Adept does fall. Behind this, how many gateways? We have one in the main, one in the natural, 2 gate blink opener from Trigger so far. As HeRoMaRinE is getting into his 1-1-1. Working towards a pretty interesting drop. It's like a kitchen sink drop. Cyclone, Widowmine, and 2 Marines. A little bit of everything. Let's see how many probes we can kill as we do head towards the mineral line. Widowmine is set. Oh, we don't waste it. Oh! It's being focused down. Cyclone will fall. Good cleanup here from Trigger. Losing 2 probes but killing a Cyclone. Well worth it for the Protoss. And he is once again going 4 gate. 4 gate blink. We'll see if Trigger can have a little bit more success this time. I mean, so far it's been good. So far he killed the Cyclone, defended his mineral line. So far things have been going well for Trigger. Back at home, tank is on the way. Did make a second Cyclone, interesting, which will delay the tank production. So we're going to have 1 tank, yes, but I'm not so sure we're going to have 2 tanks in time. Here we go, we're moving out. Yeah, the second tank isn't going to come out in time. So we could potentially get on top of the first tank or even get on top of the production. Pick up some of these add-ons, depending on how many Stalkers there are. Ooh, this is not the time to be supply blocked! Okay, Pylon is finishing up. There we go. We do have an extra warp in. Forced to warp in defensively, though. Yeah, so less Stalkers than we would like. Do dive into the main base. Stim is exposed. And can we deny Stim? It would be a good pick off. Boys are being pulled. We are repairing that tech lab. And HeRoMaRinE is holding. He does reposition his tanks. Yeah, tank volley going to be going off into HeRoMaRinE. He's holding. And this time we're dealing even less damage. The main isn't as large as game number 1, as Oceanborn. The map. The map isn't as large as Oceanborn. Earlier we were able to get into the mineral line. This time, not so much. Stalkers are dropped in the natural. Oh, we lose 1. 2, lose the Stalker. You know, Raven getting across the map for some auto tower harass. 3rd base is now on the way. And Gabe is looking far more secure here in game 2. Could maybe try and dive on the tank. It's going to be a bold move here from Trigger. Blue getting 2 workers. Ah, I spoke too soon. Getting 4 workers within the main and in the natural. Back at home, Stim is done. Combat shields on the way. HeRoMaRinE building up a death ball of an army. How many tanks do we have? We have 4 tanks. And now we can push. Oh, as we move out, cells are moving in. Yeah, Trigger just waiting for the moment when Hero moves out so he can backstab, forcing units to stay back at home. At the same time, we catch a couple of reinforcements. 2 Marauders go down. Good big offs. We can deny the third CC. It is going to be cancelled. Big warping into the main base. Zealots wreaking havoc. They're going ham. Boys have to be pulled. Boys are being pulled, and HeRoMaRinE, he refuses to turn back around. And I do like this. He has a massive tank lead. 4 tanks for HeRoMaRinE. Yeah, focus down the shield batteries. Focus down the sentries and the shield batteries as well. Third base is going to fall. Back at home, we clean up the Zealots. And Gabe, he's not slowing down. He can keep on pushing. An okay anti-armor missile. We have our first Colossus, but the tanks, they're zoning the army away. Yeah, they cannot engage. They cannot push into the natural. Island going to be going down, depowering these gateways. The Robo is still up and running. But we're going for the Robo. The Robo does fall. No more Colossus. GG gets called. We camp the production, and HeRoMaRinE takes the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. A solid series there out of HeRoMaRinE. Again, Trigger, he just wasn't able to deal anywhere near as much damage with his 4-Gateling Stalker, and you could see that the tank count was getting higher and higher. HeRoMaRinE, he was ready for a big counterattack, and the Zealot Zealot backstab was nice, but as we saw, it didn't really do too much. It killed only a handful of SCVs. Surprisingly so, the Zealots didn't do a lot of damage, and Gabe could focus on his push, and you could see him just snowball out of control. Once again, 2 games in a row, the 4-Gateling Stalker needed to do more damage. It needed to achieve more as an opener. It needed to kill, trade it more efficiently, get tanks, cripple the production, do something, anything, or even at least contain the opponent. Trigger wasn't able to. And with that, Gabe does take the series 2-0.